All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Kat Madrano, and I am the founder of Soul Inspired Living. And today we're here doing a quick interview with Mr. Vincent Hunt, who is a designer and entrepreneur. Hey,
Hey,
Vince, what's going on?
oh, just chilling, doing what I do, doing what I do.
Awesome.
Good to see you.
You too. Thanks for joining us today.
Mhm.
And today, like I told you before, we're going to talk just a little bit about defining success differently.
Yeah,
So my first question for you, Vince, is where did your definition of success come from?
that's an interesting question because I can remember, there was a moment in my career, my professional career, where I realized that everything that I was in pursuit of was really kind of hinged on a definition of success that I kind of inherited. I think we all inherit some like definition of what success is. Maybe success is more cars, more money, more land, more stuff. And that definition, if we carry it along with us, if we're not like mindful and if we're not achieving these things, then we could look at ourselves as less than a success. I think each person has to really kind of like go within and figure out what's success for them. And I figured out that success for me is really about, the acquisition of time. I love time. Like if I have free time, I'm feeling like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. So it's not really hinged upon any like financial metrics or I can't even say that it's like hinged on the idea of how many vacations I can take. It's really hinged upon like each and every day, do I have the autonomy to do the work that I want to do and add the value to the work that I want to add. So I think each and every person has to kind of like define their own, definition of success.
Cool. I love that. And I love that you have that definition like so succinct and so down. I can see the confidence that you have
Yeah.
in that answer, which is not something that you find a lot these days when you're talking to somebody about success. So I am curious, how long would you say that you've kind of lived your life with this particular meaning of success?
Oh, wow. Over 15 years.
Okay.
Well over, I've been an entrepreneur for 23 years. And
Mhm.
again, like on the front end, I can remember what the pursuit looked like versus what the pursuit looks like now. So when I create things, like, so for instance, when I created my company, Better is a web design and brand identity company. I never in my mind had this idea that I wanted to be the biggest, baddest brand identity web design company. I wanted to be a solution for small to medium sized businesses where they could actually get the answers and the resources that they need to be successful, even if that was only, 50 clients a year. Like I wasn't after this idea of how much money and how many people I can get on the team. I was about how much value I could provide. And at the exact same time, have that metric that's in place, which is my time, right? To
Mhm.
be able to, go take care of other ventures or, connect with other people. That was really kind of like my pursuit. So I've been doing it, in a more succinct answer to that, like 15 years. I've been in this mode of, build what matters, but at the exact same time, being mindful of my boundaries and the things that I want to achieve as it pertains to my success metrics.
Awesome. And so, what are some of your rituals that you do during the day to move the needle closer towards success?
Yeah. So it's interesting that you asked that. Like right now, I'm working on a really, really big project that I'm super passionate about because it's at the core of everything that I do. And it never really had a name, shape, or form. It was just like the things that I would do, which I'm calling now the 0 hour, right? So, quick story. This was probably now 3 years ago. I woke up in the morning just like every other person, in the hustle and the bustle of getting things done, checking email, Slack messages,
Mhm.
social media, waking up to all this media getting poured in, and then all the response that comes after that, right? You feel like you got to answer every email. You feel like you got to answer every text. And at the exact same time, I was going through like one of my bank's like statements, right? Like online.
Mhm.
I'm just looking through, making sure everything is good. And I noticed a transaction that was wrong, right? Now, mind you, it's like 8 in the morning. I'm on fire already because I've been responding to everything. And I see this transaction. My next response was to snap up the phone and call the bank. So I called the bank. It's 8 a.m. And I got that classic, recording of you've called the bank at an hour that we're not open,
Mhm.
right? They didn't open until like 9 o'clock or something. So instantly I realized that my urgency wasn't their urgency.
Mhm.
And I had to sit with that for a second. And I had to ask myself the question because I knew what I was feeling. And I said, you know what? Like, why am I open at 5, 6 in the morning answering emails and stuff? If the bank don't open till 9, they got success. What if I started opening up at 9? So in that moment, you know, I made a declaration to myself, again, being mindful of the idea that time is like my number one thing. And I said, from the hours of 5 a.m. to 9 a.m., what I'm going to do is just take care of events, right? I don't open for business until 9 o'clock, right? So from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m., it's all about self-care. It's about, you know, mindful practices, whether it's my exercise routine, working out in the gym, eating well, being, you know, operating at a pace that's not like all hurry, right? When I sit down and eat breakfast, I eat a real breakfast. I sit down and really, really enjoy my coffee and really contemplate the day and get myself situated before the day happens to me. I want to happen to the day. So I think that at the core of everything that I do, my productivity, my creativity, everything is I've actually given myself permission, right, to take from 5 to 9 and make that my 0 hours, right? 0 to the world, everything to me. And so some people may call it selfish. I call it, you know what I'm saying, taking care of yourself and self-love. So I think that's probably the most pivotal thing that I've done in the last 3 years that really helps me push that needle towards success.
And that's really meaningful advice, especially coming from somebody like yourself who, you know, you are a full-time businessman. You know, you're out there, you're getting stuff done, you're taking care of orders, things like that. So for you to be able to come out here and tell other people that, hey, you've got to have these hours that you are not available, you are not working, you're not emails, because I think it's just become too much of the norm for us to walk around, you know, connected all the time, plugged in all the time. If you're spending time with your family, you know, are you really 100% there and giving it your all if you've got phone in your back pocket and you know that a work email is coming in? So I love that. I can't wait to see the journal that's coming out, because I know that's going to be so centralized around these rituals that you have, and that's going to be very valuable for people.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. And it's cool that you even mentioned like family time, right? Like, so though I have like these ironclad 5 to 9, 0 hours, sometimes you may need to modify the machine and be like, I've also got 0 hours, like when I'm with family.
Yes.
So that means I cut off everything else. Matter of fact, it was a few weeks ago, actually purchased an artifact where, you know, you hang it on the wall and you park your cell phone at the door.
Okay.
Right? So like doing things that really kind of create the environment where you can be, you know, held accountable, and at the exact same time, you know, staying true to your core essence as it pertains to like 0 hour, I think is super, super important as well. So yeah, most def.
So a couple of little quick questions for you.
Yeah.
First one, on a scale of 1 to 10, I know you already talked about money earlier, but even though it's not your number one thing, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much does money define success for you?
I would have to say money, like really, like if I'm like 100% honest, I'd have to say 7, 8. Like I think when I tell people that money is like not my thing, they're like, oh, he doesn't care about money. And they would like look at it as like a 2 or a 3. That's BS. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, money for me is really important, right? I'm an entrepreneur. I'm gonna go get money. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what we're supposed to do, because with money, the instrument called money, you can catalyze things. You can move needles forward. You can, you know, bless people. You can give people opportunities with money. So money is important, but I don't put money before, you know, my mental, physical health, right? I just don't. I'm not going to do that ever. You know what I mean? And so money is still way up there on the metric scale. You know, I'd have to say about 7 or 8, but I don't make it the priority. I don't make it the number one thing.
I agree with you on that. It's more of a tool versus the means that defines a success for you.
No, it does not. You can have a man that's like, he could be making, you know, $20,000 a year, but happy as hell. You know what I'm saying? And so for him, whatever he's doing may be his definition of success.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? But I think we put everything on money and stuff. So yeah.
Yes. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how much does happiness define success?
Oh, that's a 10. Happiness. I don't think we talk enough about happiness. You know what I'm saying? And in fact, in some circles, they'll tell you that, you know, like happiness is this elusive idea that like we should all like be, you know, dreaming about and like imagining. But I think it's something that you need to be in pursuit of every single day. Check in with yourself and ask yourself, are you happy? Happiness and success, I think are just kind of like one and the same, in the sense that people have a definition of happiness that they got from somebody else.
Right.
You got to decide that too. Like what makes you happy? What makes me happy is the ability to get up every day and operate in my gifts, operate in the things that God gave me to be great, you know what I'm saying, and give that back to the world. I have a saying that I wake up to every single day, which is give more than you take. Give the day more than you take from the day, right? Just living in that ethos alone makes me happy. You know what I'm saying? And I have to check in with myself at the end of the day to say, did I give the day more than I took from the day? Did I give more than I took, right? Because we can get it all flipped up and then we become selfish and we're just taking, when at the end of the day, you know, we got to kind of be mindful of that. And so for me, happiness is super important. Like, like it's right there. Like that right there to me is a form of success. If you can actually say that you're happy each and every day.
And I like that you gave that measurement of giving more than you take, because that's something that no matter what, I mean, it could be 6 o'clock in the afternoon and you may feel like, oh no, I haven't given more yet. But you know what? Like, you still have time, and it might just be like one quality conversation with a friend you haven't touched base with in a little bit. And so I think that's a great way to measure it, because that is a realistic and a personalized expectation that we can set for ourselves every day.
You know, aside from all religious beliefs and ideas and concepts, I think that like you bend the universe when you think that way, right? If you just believe the idea that everything that you give will be returned to you like tenfold, like just that simple idea, if you're in the hustle, if your hustle is really about let me give, you can like it will take you over. Like there's some days where I feel completely defeated in that idea, right? Because I receive so much, whether it's, you know, a call from you or another friend who like encourages the hustle, or, you know, a client that says, you know, this was extraordinary and it just like completely like flipped me upside down. Those types of receipts, right? Those gifts, I know are just direct correlations to this idea of giving. Like I'm not fooled by that. So, you know, I think that is something to kind of like really think about and meditate on, is the idea of that when you give, you will receive. And you got to kind of have the fortitude and the faith to believe that. And it's a way to bend the universe. Like you can't beat the universe though. Right. So it's super dope. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to steal that phrase, bending the universe. That's got some magic to
it. You can bend the universe by giving, you know. Yeah.
So you've already dropped a lot of great wisdom for us. I've got to ask you though, what advice do you have for anyone who may be struggling to see themselves as a person who is even capable of achieving success right now? Because we think of it as this thing, it's in the distance, it's in the future. You know, what advice do you have for somebody like that?
First thing that I would tell them to do is take a serious, and I'm not playing, like a serious social media fast. Straight up. Let me put that on the front end. Stop looking at other people. Stop looking at stop looking at me. Stop looking at you. Like, stop looking at everybody that they have now kind of like centered their idea of success on. Right. Even like, you know, like it's funny because you got like everyday Joes like myself, you know, out here looking at stars and the lifestyles that they live in. And at the exact same time, if you're not careful, you're looking at them because, of course, there's all the quality of like money and materialistic things. And you're starting to now say, okay, I don't have that, so I'm not successful. It becomes this Herculean hill that you don't feel like you can ever climb. Right. So just get away from social media, whether it be for a month, 2 months, 3 months. Sit it down. You know what I'm saying? And really, really focus on you and define what your measure of success is. So that's my number 2. Define what your measure of success is. And be real honest with yourself, right? And I would also encourage people, number 3 in this question, which is, right, like when you start to define what success is for you based on somebody else above and beyond you and God, right? That's where it gets tricky, because you can never, like, it's always controlled by somebody else. So for instance, if I say that my measure of success is by how much money I got, well, now I've given the power of my success to the clients, because they're the ones giving me the money. If they don't give me no money, I guess I don't have success. You feel me?
Yeah.
So make sure that your measures of success, or try to make your measures of success of things that are deals in between you and your God alone. So if it's time and peace and happiness, joy, right? Grace, these things, like if you can like put it on stuff like that, stuff that's a deal between you and your higher calling, you're going to start to ascertain your success, right? Everything else will follow that. I promise. Everything else will follow that. You'll have a greater sense of self-awareness. You'll be more grounded. Your metrics will not be metrics that are controlled by any other person, and you'll be happy on that. Yeah.
That's great advice. I love that.
Cool. Appreciate that.
So Vince, last question.
I thought that was the last question. No, I'm just kidding.
Just one more, just one more. We can sneak it in, right?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm down.
So in one word or one sentence, how do you live a soul-inspired life?
That's a good one. To live intentionally and on purpose each and every day. Each and every day. To live intentionally and on purpose each and every day. Absolutely.
Love it. Perfect.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. Well, thank you again for joining us today. This was great.
Yeah.
I know that the viewers are loving this. They're going to take this information that you've given them and really take it to heart. Let's hope that they do that.
Yeah.
And so for those that are watching, if you guys enjoyed this conversation, you can get more of Vince, learn more from him. He is going to be one of our guests over at Soul Inspired Living.
Yeah.
So check the link in the comments. It's soulinspiredliving.co. Vince,
Yeah.
any closing words from you today?
No, like I think that the work that you're doing is extraordinary. I think it's important work. And anybody that's listening to this, tapping in, I would, encourage them to like really connect, really dive in, find the greater version of themselves. I think 2020 showed us some stuff, right? It showed us who we are in a lot of different ways. And I think in 2021, you're going to see a lot of people coming to a whole new level, and tapping in at levels that they had never even thought or imagined. I think your tools and the things that you're doing are really going to help them do that. So good work. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Cool.